And I have some illustrations here that I'll show, which are of another poem of Rumi's, a long narrative poem. So we're not showing you the text of the actual poem, but we're showing you what it looked like, what it would look like in manuscript. All right, well, take it away, Shantanu.
First ghazal. در چرخ سحرگاه یکی ماه عیان شد و از چرخ بزیر آمد و بر ما نگران شد چون باز که برباید مرغی بگه سید بربود برا آن مه و بر چرخ روان شد.
All right.
And the translation of this into English. From the glow of dawn a moon appeared. It swept from the sky, speared me with its eyes. With me in its talons, to the sky it soared, like a hawk which snatches a songbird by force. I glanced at myself, no me to be seen. The moon of mercy bared my body to a soul. Formless I flew, just seeing the moon and the world lit in its gleam. In the soul I travelled with the moon as my beacon, laying bare the secret of time before time. Sky and then sky all merged with the moon. The raft that is me was drowned in the sea.
Without the force of that sunburst of Shams, neither the moon nor the sea can be seen. Very nice. And then what do we have next?
The second ghazal, it's a shorter one. The rhyming element is the word paridan, daridan, didan, nadidan, etc.
Okay.
Again, the Persian, first two couplets in Persian. Ishq ast dar asma paridan, sad parde bahar nafas daridan. Awwal nafas az nafas gusastan, akhir qadam az qadam buridan. And the English.
Okay.
Soaring through open skies is love. Shredding the veil with a breath is love.
Checking the self with the self is love. And it's love that erases the footprint from every footfall.
Grasping the world with no eyes is love. And love is to hold your gaze with no gaze.
I say, O knocking heart, be blessed. Blessed your fall into the arms of lovers.
Gazing at the landscape of the gaze is love. Scurry to the alleys of the heart is love.
O self, from where comes this breath? O heart, from where comes this burn?
I lingered in the forge my heart now claims, while a fire was kindled of water and clay.
At last I fled from that forge of forms. The fire was not yet full nor warm.
But I stumbled and they dragged me by my legs. I bickered, but they slapped on me a face.
That feels very postmodern to me. They slapped on me a face.
Yes.
It seems like Rumi really captures that sort of sense of fragmentation that is so common in the modern world. But I guess for him it was more a matter of ecstasy than feeling lost.
This is a theme that has exercised the Muslim imagination from the very beginning. The boundary, the separation between the self and the other, subject and the object, the lover and the beloved, the seer and the seen. Who is it that sees and what is it that is seen? What are the veils that cloud our vision? How do we transcend this?
So would you say then that the mysticism of this poetry is typical of Islamic poetry, or is Rumi particularly mystic beyond others?
No, all of this poetry is mystical poetry. The ghazal is a genre that draws very heavily on the vocabulary of Islamic mysticism. So in that, Rumi is not unusual, but Rumi is unusual in the in some of the commonplace, everyday metaphors that he uses. We'll see in the very last poem that I will read. The stock of images and juxtapositions is very unusual.
Okay, well, let's try another poem then.
Now, one thing I wanted to mention about this poem is, again, it's dealing with the issue of names and identity and what is named and what is nameable and when were names given and identities conferred. So it's dealing with this issue.
Okay.
Again, the first two couplets. Manan roz budam ke asma nabud, nishan az wujud musamma nabud. Zima shud musamma o asma padi, daran roz kanja mano ma nabud. Nisha gasht mazhar sare zulf yar, hunuz az sare zulf ziba nabud. I was that day when names were not even a whiff of the named was not.
From me the named and names were spun, when I or we were not, I was.
A gleam in a curl of her hair is the world, but caught in that bewitching gleam he was not.
Among cross and Christians, from one end to the other, I searched every inch of the cross. He was not.
I turned to the temple, I ran to the church. In both of them I saw he was not.
I fled to Mount Hira, where God had revealed. I searched high and low. He was not. He was not.
On wings of desire I fled to the Kaaba, in the court of that aim of the world. He was not.
At last I peered in the depths of the heart. Where else would he be? I saw that he was.
That sunburst of Shams, that purest of souls, a drunk and a lush like him never was.
A drunk and a lush like him. I love that. That feels very 20th century.
Remember, this is a culture in which people drank very heavily, as Muslims, still do.
Now the next one is more of a dialogue, or are you going to read it first in...
The next one is, this is the last ghazal I think that we'll read in full. And this is really one of the most dialogic of his ghazals. This is a dialogue between a lover and a beloved. The beloved who is king-like, imperious, scornful, hard nut to crack. And the lover who comes knocking on that door, on the door of the beloved, and is put through his paces as he does so. گفتا که کیست بردر گفتم که من غلامت گفتا چه کار خواهی گفتم مها سلامت گفتا که چند رانی گفتم که تا بخوانی گفتا که چند جوشی گفتم که تا قیامت. And the English. He asked who's at the door. It's me, your slave, I answered.
He asked me what I wanted.
To greet you was my answer.
He asked, how long this knocking?
Till doomsday. Till you respond, I answered.
How long this restless gushing?
Till doomsday was my answer. And so I swore by my love, I sighed and pledged my all. You'll see that I'm steady, love made me babble nonsense.
For a pledge you need a witness, also a judge, he quibbled.
My tears will bear witness, with a pallid face I answered.
The eyes not to be trusted, your witnesses are shallow.
But by your boundless justice they'll be redeemed, I answered.
What goal have you, he queried.
My friendship and affection.
And what is it I give you?
Your favors all I wanted.
Who came with you all this way?
Your thought, my king, I answered.
Who called you here? He asked me.
The fragrance of your wine cup.
Disaster, have you ever tasted it?
Your love is itself a disaster.
How then will you cross this hard path?
With steady steps, I answered.
I've tested enough, he grumbled. And what is it that I gained?
Hush, forget this gabbing. If words were to reveal him, you'll burst beyond your own self. No door, no roof could hold you.
So it really comes again and again to those themes of going beyond the identity, sort of bursting the self, having this sort of moment of ecstatic release or communion. Or
you could say that all of this poetry is an attempt at capturing the experience that is ineffable, capturing it within the cage of words.
It just seems so modern in so many ways, that this talk of going beyond the self, very different from the 19th century in English literature, where you have a perfect world sort of imagined and everything is in its place, and it's
yes, here there's nothing but unrequited love and being thwarted. And the images do endure. And just to make that point, I wanted to recite an Urdu poem.
Okay, and this one is by...
This is by Faiz,
okay,
who is a Pakistani 20th, mid to late 20th century Pakistani poet, writing in Urdu, using exactly the same scenario of the lover and the beloved on two sides of the door, or the lover, in this case, it's the lover who's waiting for the tryst that never happens, waiting for the beloved who might come, or love that might come knocking.
So this is a modern poem that shows the influence of this whole tradition.
Yeah, written probably in
continuity
40.
with
Yeah.
Rumi. Okay, let's try it.